there's a version of you who doesn't wake up every morning asking, "Is my life going to work out?" That question no longer runs the day. Not because every problem has disappeared, not because the path is perfectly clear, and certainly not because nothing unexpected ever happens. Something deeper has changed. You've stopped treating uncertainty like a warning sign. You've stopped reading every delay as rejection, every closed door as failure, every quiet season as evidence that you've been forgotten. Somewhere inside, a decision has been made. Whatever happens, you'll find the way through. From that moment on, life starts feeling different. You breathe differently. You move differently. You stop begging the future to be kind to you because you've begun trusting the person you'll become inside it. Most people think confidence arrives after success. First, you get the result, then you believe in yourself. First, the opportunity appears, then you relax. First, the money comes, the relationship changes, the answer arrives, and only then do you finally feel safe. But winning rarely works in that order. Real confidence begins before there's evidence. It begins in the strange, quiet space where you choose an inner position without having anything outside you to prove it yet. A ship doesn't wait for calm water before choosing a direction. It finds its bearing while the waves are still moving. Your life works much the same way. Circumstances may shift. Emotions may rise and fall. Some days you'll feel powerful, and other days you'll wonder whether you've lost the plot completely. Still, beneath all of that movement, there can be a steady direction. You're going somewhere, and you're not turning against yourself on the way there. Maybe you've felt flashes of that version of you before. A moment when fear became quiet and you simply knew what to do. A moment when an idea felt so clean that you didn't need 10 opinions about it. A moment when something inside said, "Keep going," even though the visible world hadn't caught up yet. That knowing wasn't random. It was a glimpse of what happens when your identity stops being built around waiting, wishing, and worrying. Because the version of you who wins isn't necessarily smarter, luckier, or more gifted. That version has simply stopped negotiating with the possibility of defeat, not in an arrogant way, not with some forced smile pasted over real pain, more like a deep-rooted tree in bad weather. The branches may shake, but the roots don't ask the storm for permission to remain. Once you understand that knowing comes before proof, another truth begins to surface. You don't create your life only through what you want. You create it through what you repeatedly assume, expect, tolerate, and embody. Wanting can point you toward a destination, sure, but wanting alone often keeps the destination at a distance. You can want peace while identifying as someone who's always in danger. You can want abundance while quietly expecting every good thing to disappear. You can want love while believing you have to perform for it. And when those deeper beliefs are running the show, desire becomes like pressing the gas while your other foot is planted on the brake. A lot of noise, a lot of effort, not much movement. Identity is quieter than desire, but far more powerful. It's the hidden script underneath your decisions. You see it in the opportunities you notice, the boundaries you keep, the conversations you avoid, and the risks you're willing to take. Someone who believes, "Things always fall apart for me," walks through life collecting proof of collapse. A missed call becomes rejection. A slow month becomes disaster. One mistake becomes a verdict on their entire future. Someone who believes, "I can work with whatever happens," sees the same events differently. A missed call becomes information. A slow month becomes a signal to adjust. A mistake becomes tuition. Same world, different identity. And no, that doesn't mean painful things aren't painful. It means pain no longer gets to write the final sentence. Conviction is what turns a hopeful idea into an identity. Plenty of people say they believe in themselves, but the belief disappears the moment pressure arrives. Real belief reveals itself in movement. When the moment comes to act, You don't need a committee meeting inside your head. You don't spend 3 weeks asking whether you're allowed to begin. You begin because beginning matches who you are. Think of a skilled musician hearing a familiar song. They don't debate where every finger should land. Practice has made the movement part of them. Conviction works in a similar way. A thought repeated, tested, and lived long enough becomes natural. Eventually, maybe I can becomes, I'm learning how. Then I'm learning how becomes, of course I'll figure this out. Tiny shift in language, massive shift in energy. And here's where many people misunderstand the phrase, knowing it will work out. They imagine it means controlling the exact outcome. They think confidence means declaring that one particular door must open, one particular person must choose them, one particular plan must unfold on schedule. But that isn't conviction. That's often fear wearing expensive clothes. Genuine confidence is more spacious. It says, this may happen exactly as imagined, or life may show me a better route. But either way, I won't be abandoned by my own strength. You stop clinging to a single scene and start trusting your ability to meet the whole story. Suddenly, a detour doesn't mean the dream is dead. A delay doesn't mean you chose wrong. Sometimes the road curves because you're being led around terrain you couldn't see from where you started. And once that trust settles in, doubt loses one of its favorite weapons, the demand that everything makes sense immediately. Of course, hearing all of this can feel inspiring for a few minutes. Then real life taps you on the shoulder. Bills still exist. The body still gets tired. Old memories still whisper. You may understand the idea of conviction and still wonder, how am I supposed to believe when I haven't seen enough evidence? Fair question. Trying to force enormous belief usually backfires. You can repeat grand statements all day, but if every part of you is quietly arguing with them, the words won't travel very far. Your deeper mind isn't impressed by dramatic speeches. It pays attention to evidence. It watches what you do. It remembers what you finish. It notices whether you keep promises to yourself. So begin with a win your system can actually trust. Not the biggest win you can imagine. Not the one that would impress strangers. Choose something that stretches you without splitting you in half. Picture a blacksmith shaping metal. One strike doesn't create the blade. The form emerges through steady, well-placed blows. Heat, pressure, adjustment, repetition. Confidence is forged the same way. You choose a goal, you follow through. Your mind registers, we said we'd do something and we did. Then you repeat it. Each completed promise becomes another piece of evidence. Eventually, you're no longer trying to convince yourself that you're capable. Your behavior has already made the argument. Maybe the dream is to build a thriving business. Your next honest win might be reaching out to 5 potential clients, publishing 1 useful piece of work each week, or earning the first amount that proves someone values what you offer. Maybe the dream is a stronger body. Your first win may not be a dramatic transformation. It could be 3 workouts a week for 1 month, meals that leave you energized, or finally going to bed when you said you would. Maybe you want to become a writer. Don't begin by demanding a masterpiece. Finish a page, then another. Give your mind something solid to stand on. Small doesn't mean meaningless. A match is small too, but it can light an entire room. Strangely, those early wins often create more momentum than people expect. You complete one thing, and your posture changes. A little more courage appears. You begin considering possibilities that felt unrealistic a month ago. Not because the universe suddenly decided you were worthy, but because you've stopped broadcasting hesitation through every move. You answer faster. You recover from setbacks sooner. You notice openings you used to overlook. Confidence sharpens perception. And then the process starts compounding. One win doesn't merely add to the next. Sometimes it multiplies what you believe is possible. Like learning to swim, there's a moment when you realize the water has been holding you the whole time. You were fighting so hard to stay afloat that you couldn't feel the support underneath you. Now the question becomes practical. What should you aim for next? Somewhere between boredom and disbelief, there's a place where growth becomes powerful. The goal needs enough life in it to pull you forward, but enough believability that you don't spend every day wrestling with yourself. Too easy, and your spirit goes flat. Too far beyond your current identity, and doubt starts shouting before you've taken the first step. You're looking for the edge where excitement and certainty meet. Not perfect certainty about every detail. Life doesn't offer that, but a grounded sense that says, yes, this asks more of me, and yes, I can meet it. Think of walking through a dark forest with a lantern. The light doesn't reveal the entire journey, it gives you the next few steps. That can feel frustrating when your mind wants a map of the whole future. You want to know exactly how the career will unfold, when love will arrive, how the money will come, and whether your effort will be worth it. But clarity often comes in motion. The next visible step is enough. Take it, and the light moves with you. Another part of the path appears, then another. Ancient wisdom has said this in different ways for centuries. The long road begins beneath your feet, not somewhere in the distance. Your future isn't asking you to leap across the entire forest. It's asking whether you'll take the step you can already see. Keep the larger vision. Let it matter. Let it stir something in you. A dream gives direction to your choices, like a distant star used for navigation. But don't confuse the star with the next footstep. You may dream of freedom, meaningful work, deep love, creative impact, or a life that finally feels like your own. Beautiful. Hold it. Then ask a more useful question. What would the person moving toward that life do next? Not someday. Not when confidence is perfect. Today. Maybe they make the call. Maybe they learn the skill. Maybe they close the tab, put the phone down, and give one uninterrupted hour to the work. Maybe they walk away from something that keeps shrinking them. Often the next move is ordinary, almost disappointingly ordinary. Yet entire lives change through ordinary actions performed with uncommon consistency. Inspired action doesn't always arrive as fireworks. Sometimes it's a quiet nudge you've been ignoring for 6 months. Send the message, apply for the opportunity, change the routine, tell the truth. Rest before resentment takes over. Ask for help. Begin again without turning the restart into a public ceremony. When your goal sits inside that meeting place of excitement and belief, useful ideas become easier to recognize. Your mind stops wasting all its energy on defending you from an imagined future and starts helping you build one. You begin working with life instead of standing on the shore, demanding that the river explain where it's going. And little by little, the version of you who knows begins taking the wheel. Sooner or later, you have to make a decision that no circumstance can make for you. Will you keep asking the future to prove itself before you participate? Or will you become someone who walks forward with trust? You don't need to pretend fear is gone. You don't need to wake up tomorrow as an entirely different person. Choose one promise you can keep, one goal that feels alive and believable, one next move that tells your mind, your body, and your life, we're no longer waiting to be rescued. Let the proof begin there, then build again, win again, expand again. Your certainty doesn't have to arrive all at once. It can be earned, layer by layer, until trust becomes the way you live. The version of you who wins isn't standing at the finish line laughing at how long it took. That version is here now, underneath the noise, asking for the chance to lead. Listen closely. You already know the voice. It doesn't panic. It doesn't beg. It doesn't need the entire road illuminated. It simply says, take the next step. We'll handle what comes after. So take it. Not because everything will happen exactly as planned, but because whatever happens, you will keep becoming the person who can meet it. And once you truly know that, life no longer feels like something happening against you. It becomes something moving with you. Deep down, beyond the fear and beyond the waiting, the winning version of you already understands. Somehow, some way it will work out.